What's going on? What's going on? Got a 1 day early start on the lives. I know tomorrow's Christmas Eve, so I decided to jump on. I sent out a little last minute notice. I figured I was going to do this to get this live in for the week. And so thank everybody for coming through. All the subscribers, all the follow. Make sure if you're new or you just been following, haven't subscribed, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. This thing is heating up, like I said, with the Coach Prime did it again. I think that's the notice for this week for everybody who, man, we've been on a roller coaster. We've been all over the place. I think people was angry, confused. It was a weird week. And I made the comment. I said, this is what happened when you give like 18-year-olds the kind of power. Like imagine the world ran by 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds. I mean, seeing that we're getting, that'll be nice. People already bringing in the news. Make sure y'all hit that chat. Y'all go ahead and drop some things in if y'all heard things, especially if it's accurate. I mean, this is a good week. I mean, it was kind of weird, with the whole situation. the I don't know if you all kind of fall. I kind of fell on King Joseph, his Instagram live. Kind of fell on that just by mistake. I don't even think it was the person I follow. That's why I said make sure y'all follow people. And I don't know, was it? I think it was YouTube. Guy was following King Joseph, and I was on this live through that. I just stuck with it. I didn't go to the Instagram and just watch how, things kind of fell into place. They like look at how the mama's dressed. Look at everybody's dressing black. Look at the balloons. They were orange. Now they're gold and all these different things, trying to kind of figure it out. And it's kind of fun to in the sports. So we're going to see what some things come. I know we got a few more people coming after the playoffs, after they get out their bowls. But that's what I'm kind of to talk about because I think I got a lot to say about this ride. We seen Jordan Seaton play this thing. They end up with Shador in Miami. That's why I'm talking to somebody, but they didn't quite show the full face on well off. I guess it was Jordan Seaton talking about meeting in Miami, and Bucky got him in the car. And it's like, man, y'all playing with people's emotions, I guess. Maybe they did. I don't know what was going on. But like people say, it kept that Coach Prime saga going. It kind of dominated those last couple of days. They kind of snuck one in on King Joseph going to Syracuse, and they dropped right before we got an edge rusher about the same size, a little bigger, a year more experience coming in from Pitt. And he may be better. And that kind of brings my first talking point into place. Follow me on this. I call this, I'm going to coin this. Greg said it first, the prime strategy. I'm going to reveal what I call the prime strategy. Make sure y'all share this. I call the prime strategy of today's portal, and they're going to be changing it because Coach Prime has mastered this thing. Pay attention to this. You notice that he hasn't been going after high school students. And at first I thought it was more so because, he needed right away players. That's all true. I believe that's all well and true. But I think the prime strategy is kind of adjusting with the times. And these are what the times look like right now, where you have freshmen have the ability to transfer their first year. But that you use your what you call free transfer, right? Freshmen have ability to do that. You notice that a lot of these guys are coming. Guys went to school for 1 year. He had actually recruited, and now they can come and play for him. But the thing is, once they transfer that first time, they only got one. All that other stuff, they played with the waivers, tricked Tyler Brown, other people, especially him. He didn't get to play. But when you look at when they transfer in, you notice that a lot of people not transfer out of Colorado because they already used their free transfer. I call this the prime strategy. Check this out. I let you go ahead over there to the school, ride the bench for a year, and then they be like, oh, you getting all these players who haven't got any play. They ain't playing yet, this, that, and that. They ain't not proven. But he getting players that going to be with him at least 2-3 years. They got to graduate the next time they transfer. I call this the prime strategy. This is what I call, Greg said it, the new freshman. The new freshman is not the guy coming out of high school. The new freshman is that guy who went to TCU, who went to Syracuse, Tennessee, realized it wasn't what they thought it was, and they end up coming back to the person who originally recruited them. You have seen this. I seen even with Jimmy Horn. Jimmy Horn went to, South Florida. Prime recruited him at Jackson State, but once he moved to Colorado, a lot of these boys came on over. They was able to transfer. So sometimes it's not a big deal when these guys decide to go to these other schools. It's not all negative. Don't blow a gasket like, oh, they chose this school out of high school, because if they don't like it, they can transfer. And when they do transfer to Colorado, they can't transfer out that 1 year. See, they can go to Boo Carter. He can go to Tennessee. And if it ain't what he thought, and Prime is jumping and his friends over here, he can always come back next year. You see? And like I said, all this stuff going to be changing. So I mean, they're not going to be allowing that. They're gonna start locking in people, probably freshmen. Locking them in that 1 year. 2 years. They're gonna have to do it, because it's gonna be that prime strategy where, yeah, you can transfer multiple times when you're eligible. Don't get it twisted. It's too many people not played, unless they're gonna change it. And I doubt they change it now, because they're really gonna be a circus and people having a fit. So if anything, they're gonna clamp down. They're gonna clamp down on how many times a person can transfer, more so than make it more loose. Because this thing here crazy. You've been on play for 3-4 schools before you come out of let's see if they don't get better on defense. You got to pay attention. You got to pay attention to what's going on, because like I said, a lot of these boys he are transferring. These are not a one and done. Some of these boys are one and done, but a lot of these boys who he got coming in are sophomores, redshirt sophomore. So they're going to be here, so he can build and build and build. Like a lot of the boys that came in last year, they're not going to just be able to just go out as they come in. And the good thing about it is he's going to get these boys for 2-3 years. That's not the case with a freshman. I said Boo Carter can go to Tennessee and say, I'm out next year. Same thing with Charles Lester. And maybe it will make sense, because it's going to be more openness. You're going to see Travis Hunter leave, but, they're stocking up. So that's what I call that prime effect, that prime strategy, where I notice he's going after these young transfer guys who maybe been to school 1 or 2 years, and they're going to come on to Colorado, and they're going to have to stay at least 2. That's better than going after a freshman who sit on the bench and somebody lure him away. Now, he took that risk with a Dylan Edwards, but he had a relationship with a Dylan Edwards. And I think the same thing was discussed with Kamani. Kamani know why he came. It wasn't toe in the water. Jordan Seaton, he playing these games, but he know why he's there. He's going to be that guy. He's going to be that guy who get to stay there and kind of build a name around. And it's just that opportunity is not there at a Oregon. The opportunity is not there at a Alabama. It's not there. So, what are we talking about? We talking about now? What are we talking about now? Clearly we talking about now. Now is they got the players they need. We're not talking about next year. Everybody who they got come in now. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What you been watching? Everything we talk about on this show is about now. Everybody who he's bringing in, they can play now. He's not building the Clemson roster. He's not building. That's why he's not going to high school. Everybody he's coming in, these edge rushers, you talk about a defense, the edge rushers that he's bringing in is going to play now. What are we talking about? Our edge rusher, out of Pitt, our tackle out of Houston, our tackle out of Alabama, our edge rusher, the end out of LSU, twin out of Kentucky. Those are immediate impacts. The guys who are proven to be able to get in that backfield. Well, what are we talking about? The defense. The biggest issue on the defense, I consider, and that's a whole nother conversation. The second issue I seen on the defense was the D-line's ability to get pressure. That was obvious. Quarterback had all day. No real, Jordan Dominic was decent. O'Neal got better as the season went. We just didn't have that other edge rusher. We bringing in pure proven edge rushers. You're bringing in a pure proven edge rusher out of LSU, out of Kentucky. Well, y'all talking about SEC? There you go. And they played. So it's a nasty edge rusher. We know exactly what we're looking at. We've been here doing this. We know exactly what we're looking at. The D-line will be better. The only thing that I see is the linebackers. And I'm clear on linebackers. Maybe we got a new guy here. Okay, you all over the place here. We just not getting to the linebackers. And I'm clear about linebackers. And it's been discussed on this show. We got the week, which is where I'm getting to. I actually played linebacker. I actually played secondary too. And see, what I'm saying is a lot of people who talking on these other shows is weird to me when they say, well, Trevor Lawrence Woods is a good linebacker. We had no good linebacker. The only good linebacker we had was Juju. And it was clear when he came in, they made the comments. They did. He's way more instinctive, way more of a natural linebacker than everybody. They said that before the season started. And I don't know what kind of fall off and really what happened. They covered up well. But Juju was a true linebacker. And he played like one. But he couldn't do it by himself, right? So we really didn't have no linebackers. It was clear Ham wasn't a strong linebacker. It was clear that Bentley wasn't a strong linebacker. He tried to make a comeback in the end. He just really, maybe he could blitz, certain downs maybe, but he wasn't a dismal linebacker. Then we bring in Trevor Woods. He wasn't a strong linebacker at all. And I don't know what kind of joke people talking. I know football and played it and coach it, and I know what a linebacker is supposed to do. I don't know what kind of fallacy people have about he look like this, play like that, he's smart. Forget all of that. If you don't know how to read as a linebacker, you're obsolete. And that's what happened. The linebackers were obsolete. They didn't read. They jumped into the wash. They immediately jumped into the wash, which was called a line. The linemen did not have to come and get them. They went to the line and put themselves up into the hands of the linemen before they even knew where the ball was going. And they were actually running to the wrong hole. They were running to the hole before the corner. They'll run past the hole or run to the hole that's before the hole the running back run through. That's why the running backs was breaking through for 20, 30 yards, because there was nobody at the second level. And people blame the D lineman, and clearly don't know football, because the D lineman was actually a lot of times, they were out of place, but they were more in place than the linebackers. I would say that. Linebackers just ran into a hole blindly before they even knew where the ball were. And that's where we had the issues with the run. So it's absolutely the issue is at a linebacker level. I'm not saying that we don't have a linebacker to really fill in, because we had some guys that they may have redshirted, and everybody keep talking about size and things like that. It wasn't so much size. You got to be at the right place before you even worry about size. And if you worry about size, why are you making it easy for your lineman to block you? That's common sense. If you're a smaller, more finesse linebacker, and that was more like what I was, I can come in from strong safety. I even go to corner, but I can come in at linebacker, but I'm not going to make it easy for you to block me. I'm going to use my footwork. I'm going to use my hands. I'm not just going to run into a hole like a blind bat and they wrap their arms around your neck and pull you down and hold you. Why are you even there? You didn't even figure where the ball was going. This is what our linebackers did game after game after game, all of them. Juju, like I said, was the better one. Kennedy came in at the end, tried to figure some things out, but Woods was always out of place. I don't know what fantasy people looking at. He was always out of place. Sometimes he'll blitz. I think a lot of these guys, when they blitz, they would sometimes be in the right place, but that was pretty much it. When it came to the run, they were obsolete. They were absolutely obsolete. So we definitely need some linebackers who are fundamental. I don't care what your star you have behind your name. I don't care what year you in. As long as you're in the right place. As long as you actually know how to read and run. And honestly, that's not no college thing. You learn that in freaking Little League. Like how to scrape and how to be pretty much in place. how to be. Yeah. I mean, we have players on the bench. I think we have a couple linebackers, so that may be why they're not as hard. I don't know why they didn't play them boys last year and why they preserve. I don't know. I can't answer that, but I know the ones that they did play were absolutely horrendous. I've never seen a college linebacker so incompetent. I'm just gonna be real with you. The linebackers were extremely incompetent and were the weak spot. And the weak spot on the defense was that. Yeah, the D line didn't get pressure consistently. They did at times. I mean, sometimes they were more reliable than the linebackers. Same thing with the DBs. The DBs, they better go work on slants and drag routes. I mean, it don't take all that. But guess what? I'm gonna tell you a secret. As a linebacker, drag routes have a lot to do with that underneath linebacker. Your linebacker who's always out of place, clueless, don't really know what he's doing. All them quick slants coming back to back. I said that a long time ago. That was the linebacker problem. You could easily jump that route. You know it's coming. Your quarterbacks can't stop it. Everybody in the stadium know. Like when Shiloh jumped that route, it's simple as film and knowing the game. You wasn't going to have time. You wasn't going to blitz, and you didn't have nobody to cover. There was no running back on your side. Like, what are you really doing? Yeah, what are you really doing? Absolutely. Yeah, I can't speak on whether Kelly's defense is too complicated or not, because I'm not digging into the nuances of his defense. Nor am I going to say that, I know all the ins and out of what was going on. But what I will say is if you play a position, you know the position. Now the technique and all that you can throw that on the coach. But me knowing somebody's running a drag route every play, and I don't get up under his jawline to slow him down and make him think twice. At least close that window down. It's called a window. Just like in cover 2, you have windows. If I'm a linebacker, it ain't swinging nobody out the backfield to swing out the way because they know they'll swing me right in that path. So they really giving me that window where they sit right underneath that to take that slant away. I pick slants off. I've done it. I jump right up on it and I pick it. Matter of fact, we schemed it that way. So I know that that's what's supposed to be done. I'm with you here too, man. I was hoping he would go too, honestly. He doesn't fit the scheme. He fits the persona, he fits the personality, the hope of the Colorado story of hanging around, but he doesn't really fit this scheme. He's not a safety for this scheme. I mean, because you got to be ready to hump it back there the way they cover him back there, especially in the passing conference. And he's clearly not that guy. And he's not quite a linebacker. He really needs to be close to the ball as a safety if he's going to be at safety. But that's about it. Linebacker, he's too small, maybe. But like I said, his size was more or less a secondary issue, as he made his size a weakness for him by running himself into the line. Him and Bentley, they just run up there into the line before they knew where the ball went. I can say that 100 times over. They just run up there to the line instead of reading and taking the angles and scraping down the line. They go right to where the lineman. The lineman never had to come to the second level and get them. Go watch doggone tape. They never had to come to the second level to get our linebackers. Our linebackers always took themselves into the lap. Who does that? Who does that? A guy 320, 330 pounds. Why would you run to him if you don't have to? You're not taking on the block. You just running up there and then try to scrape after you run into the lineman and he hold you. They're not going to call the penalty, clearly. You say you hope people, put people. Like I said, I'm not going to act like I know what's going on. I'm really not. I don't know that, because Coach Prime acts like he doesn't micromanage it, right? He say he gonna do more, be more involved, but to me, he seemed like he was letting his position coaches make decisions. But yeah, it seemed like he was sliding some decisions in there when he want to. So I don't think he's all the way out the loop. But I wanted to see Trevor at linebacker, but once he got in that box, I said, get him out of there. Because he's supposed to be so smart but he wasn't smart enough to sit up under them slants. He wasn't smart enough to doggone let that drag route come across and hit him in his mouth, so he think twice before dragging across. So shallow. They do these shallow drags right behind where the linebacker at. If you go and hit him in his mouth, then that would be a situation where quarterback won't be so comfortable in their receiver get alligator arms. You ain't got nothing else to do. Like I say, they're not sending a running back into the flats. They're not even trying to even play action. They're just stepping back and throwing. So the cornerbacks need to learn how to sit, like Coach Prime seemed to say a lot on the documentary, sit underneath, sit on the inside, and make them go outside, right? Make them go outside, use the sideline. But the linebackers, I don't know, man. I ain't never heard of a linebacker who don't help out on the slant and on the drag route, especially when you know it's coming. They're not trying to scheme it up to lure you in, I don't know. But that's my feeling on this whole linebacker situation. I've been really bothered. Everybody got their opinion. You got people here got their opinion. That's fine. But I actually played linebacker and at the college level. Matter of fact, I played linebacker and defensive back at the college level, and I did both at the high school level as well. So I don't really want to get too deep as to how I feel about the scheme. I don't even want to go that deep, guys. I mean, this is about it's like it's something that we do for entertainment, and if you know it, you know the game, you know the game. But at the same time, I don't want to be like that guy, like digging all into the stats and everything. And then I'm not on the step. I ain't paid to do this. So I don't know how much of it is the scheme, but I do know personnel is a big issue. Because who cares about your scheme? And they seem to say that all the time. Who cares about your scheme if your guys don't know where to be at? But at the same time, I think if they get a couple more linebackers, I don't think, if y'all see my last video, if y'all actually follow, I'll make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. But make sure y'all subscribe, because I kind of I go over different things throughout the week. And I did a recent video just kind of talking about, what are we really, when you look at it, was it a fail that happened on the signing day? And we look at, they didn't get these big names. It's like we become more about a popularity contest about, we didn't get this big guy. We didn't get Aaron Butler. We didn't get, Boo Carter, Charles Lester, the guys we've been talking about for over a year. But we did get the Seaton. So we got a couple of these guys. We got the Darius Swain. We got a couple of these guys. We didn't get King Joseph. We don't. Who does get everybody? People get mad when we take their players, and they're going to take some out. They took Bedford up there at Oregon. But my thing is, when you really look at it, did you get what you need, what you say you need? You said you need the trenches, first and foremost. You lost a couple of guys. You probably don't care you lost. You just brought in 4, solid linemen. You brought 1 out of Houston. You lost 1. Oh, you didn't get 1. You thought you were going to get 2 out of NM. You got 1. You got 1 out of UTEP, right? You got these guys coming in that can fill in these gaps, right? You didn't get Big Shaq. So you got 3 linemen. You got somebody like you got Washington coming back who should be healthy. You got Tyler Brown. So you got some people. You say, I don't know about the Connecticut guy. He's kind of small. I don't know. Then you say you got the young guy at IMG as a preferred walk-on who could be a good backup center. So you getting that depth at least to the second level, where your second level just don't look like JV, right? To the point where you got some people that may have to compete, which is good, because injury's gonna happen. Somebody gonna roll up an ankle or a knee. That's gonna happen. So at some point, you got to say, we're better off. We're better off on the line. You made up for Weaver possibly with a Shepherd. You got Timmons. These are young guys, right? You got, you say O'Connor coming back. I know O'Connor, not O'Connor, but Connor was hurt, right? David Connor. I didn't get him on the line. Harden, I don't know. Maybe he can put in some work as a good backup. Maybe the competition to make people better at the line. Maybe the new coach will make people better at the line. right? So we know that we got a tight end coming in. Probably need another tight end. I wouldn't mind. I don't say some stuff. I wouldn't mind converting one of those linemen, like a Bailey, because he can't lead, right? He came in to a blocking tight end. They're not quite big enough to be guards, and they may be on the third screen. Put them into a blocking tight end, right? They ain't quite 300, 6'5", but they may be, 270, 280. Maybe convert some of these guys to some blocking tight ends. Goal line fullback like you did with Big Bishop, right? So we got all of these things going for the line. And like I said, the receivers coming in. Baby T.O. Was it Russell? You got these guys on the receiver core. You got young Miller, Draylon Miller. You got Mikhail that can move around. So you added some pieces on that receiver end to fill in. You only lost Xavier Weaver, really. Horn is going to be back, more experience. Use him properly. Use Dylan Edwards properly. Help McCaskill. He helped it. You really don't need much else on that offense. You really don't. Depth is fine, but you really don't need it. You say make Bishop into a tight end. I mean, they can. He played tight end in high school. He can be a good blocking tight end. He can move him around for certain packages like they did. Blocking tight end, fullback on short yardage. Run him up in there. Ain't always got to be goal line. He could be 3rd and 1 on the 40. Let Bishop go up in there and blast somebody and clear up 1 yard. Fullback, absolutely. I think if I were to say anything, people say how the coach has been out coached. I don't know if I'll put it like that, but I'll say it like this. I feel like a lot of the coaches need to find out how to better maximize. We had a lot of weapons. I don't feel like you maximize. Now I know some injuries and stuff we didn't know about as well, but I feel like you need to maximize the use of a Dylan Edwards. You need to maximize him out in the open field instead of handing it off on 3rd and 2 behind a collapsing line. I feel like you need to jet sweep him. You need to jet sweep him. You need to kind of quick toss him into the flat. I mean into the out into the flat. But my thing is, you also got Dawson. I know he was hurt. Travaris Dawson as well. You got those 4-3 guys. Why are you not getting them balls? You ain't always got to throw it, but just make some personnel adjustments and customize the offense around that speed. Toss plays, reverses, more of that to get them guys in open field and make a linebacker have to run for them from sideline to sideline, and he can turn a corner. You seen Dylan turn a couple corners at the TCU game with a little bit of space. So when you got the Jimmys, the Dawsons, the Edwards, now you bringing in Miller, you got Mikhail, these 2 young guys. You have too much young talent and speed. If you don't use it, man, something wrong. And like they saying here, you got these big receivers here. Omarion, Shepard, you got Timmons, you got Baby T.O. And so you got your outside receivers on lock, right? You can sometimes bring them in the slot depending on where you are. Depending on your matchups, right? So when you get these guys, this size, this height, strength, if you use them the right way, with what you got coming out of the backfield, your line builder, I don't, it's almost like not winning 8 games is a failed season. I would say 10, but 8 definitely. Because I don't really know what they got out there. I mean, but on their worst day, 8. Now the defense, like I said, the defensive line should be a lot stronger. I would say linebacker core is going to really be a deciding factor because you know for a fact that Travis is gonna be decent. He's not gonna have to be used as much. You know, you can put him in a certain situation. You shouldn't have to use him 100 plays on both sides of the ball. You got the talent, right? Then you got, you got Kamani maybe over there. I think Cooper maybe can come back. I was hoping he'd go in the draft just to loosen up, but Cooper, I don't know. I know we got another Hodge coming in, and then you got Hodge from last year, right? That played both sides over there with Hopkins. So you got Hopkins over there. They said Hopkins is like that. I want to see him fight for a position. I want to see Hopkins. I like him at receiver, but hey, man, he like a cat at that DB. I don't know if y'all seen Hopkins. Hopkins is he cover people like a glove. You don't really, and I guess he's Hopkins. Don't be surprised as Hopkins end up being like my guy Richard Sherman. Don't be surprised as Hopkins end up emerging as a lockdown corner, because he did a lot like Richard Sherman. He was a dynamic receiver. He really could have did it. But when you use his skills and his experience as a receiver, like that's what helps Travis. Travis can pretty much jump routes and read stuff and basically become the receiver on certain plays because he's a dynamic receiver. Don't be surprised if your boy Hopkins show up. See, I said in my video, don't overlook what you already have. Complain about not getting the Boo Mitchell's card. You don't need them. You just had Hopkins. You just had Hopkins come over. You just got another Hodge. You had another Hodge last year that was a two-way player. You just got another Hodge with experience from Liberty. You ain't got to overstat that cornerback room. If Kamani comes back with his size and bring that depth to corner, now you ain't got to worry about injuries and stuff like that. They gonna look like a real Power 5 team when it comes to the type of people who they got. Slusher, a lot of people got on Slusher. I don't know if Slusher full of his. I know Slusher rushed back. He had a little surgery thing, and he didn't play the same as he did at the TCU game. And I don't know. I'm sure he lost his momentum. They say he didn't play that great at Arkansas as far as the coverage thing. But you got to look at this guy played as a freshman at Arkansas and was pretty good. Now, again, if you need to maximize the use of him and put him more in run situation, because he will come up and hit, it's up to the coach to scheme up who you want in the game and to know, what is his strengths. It's up to that coach to know the matchup and the personnel, because from week to week, this team may be, this matchup may be better for a Sidman Craig or for a Slusher. Now you got Travis Jadam coming back who can come in there. I don't know about Robinson. Robinson got a lot to prove. I think once they solidify who's back there in that safety, and I know they say Vito can run, solidify who's going to be back there with Shallow. And even with that, know when to put people in according to the down and distance and who you playing. You ain't got to lock them in. You can say, hey, you're going to play more of a role at safety. You're going to play more of a role in this nickel. You're going to play more of a role this week because of the type of team we're playing, because of they more run heavy, or they more screen heavy, they more quick slant heavy. And you really got to adjust. You talk about Charles Kelly, his scheme. You got to adjust to who you playing a lot better. Not about this player gonna play, not gonna play. It's about who's the best player for this game, or even for this situation, or this part of the game. Goal line. I really had an issue with how they played in the red zone. They had the small safeties in red zone. They throw the ball right over Sidman Craig's head. Why not put a Robinson in there who's taller and bigger? I mean, why not put him in? Because you in the red zone, third down and goal, or you inside the 20. Why not put a bigger safety in there? Whether they run it or passing. Like, why? That was y'all used to get me. Why you got a little bit of Sam and Craig in there? They bring in they jumbo package to punch the ball in the end zone. You got Sam and Craig in there. Why not bring in a bigger safety? You know they bring in a Travis J. I mean, it's not like they finna have to run down the field and cover somebody. Bring in somebody who can come up and hit, got a little more weight on them, a little more height on them. That's what got me, when I started looking at personnel usage. You got the tools on the sideline, but you're not quite using them. The linebackers, like, we just need one or two with speed and cover and hit and cause spread out. I said some crazy stuff. I don't quite know. The numbers ain't adding up to me. I would like to see somebody like a Travis J even convert down the linebacker, put on the weight. It seems like he put on weight anyway. It's like he's heavy at the bottom, how he moved. I would love to see some of these guys that are bigger size safeties instead of a Trevor Woods to come down into the box. Especially if they put on weight or they can put on weight. Why have big old, safeties out there trying to cover these agile guys? That's what I think. But at the end of the day, I believe with all the hype going on, I think it's playing into the favor of the Colorado Buffaloes. I mean, and the whole thing with seeding and with some of the things that's going to happen after the bowl game, I think the hype is going to continue. I think that the usage of the media, the skip baseless and undisputed, and you look at even with Stephen A. Smith, and you offering that to players all of a sudden. I think that it's going to play into the momentum of what they have. So I think Colorado is going to be good. I think they're going to be good, due to the fact that, let me see here. Have y'all been watching the documentary? Who's been watching the documentary? That's what I want to know. The documentary, pretty interesting. Some of the behind the scenes stuff. Like, they're not showing the drama, but they kind of showing the drama. So it's pretty cool to see, some of the feelings behind the scenes. Because Coach Prime put out a lot of stuff in the beginning, to the media and social media. I didn't know he felt certain ways behind the scenes, but I do like the fact that they kind of storyline that thing where they like it had a little Jimmy storyline. You seen a little Charles story. I think all of these things are marketable and sellable to a person like Seaton. Like, hey, you're gonna be one of the main guys on next year's documentary. I think all of these things are extra tools and even more valuable than throwing the quote unquote bag at the players to get them to come to this school. Yeah, I think I seen episode 3 or 4. I know they put 2 at a time. And I think I caught up on 4. But just thinking about when you have that, and maybe even start including the parents, and you see the NILs, you see his sons getting true NILs, with the Googles and the commercials, and they got the family with the KFC, and he bringing the Armies on. He got a couple of his players on that. And I think that, man, it's just going to attract even more. It's a proven model after year 1. And I think he will be able to leverage that. Hey, I get you your own commercial. Forget going to the car dealership and trying to figure out $500, at a local, everybody get $500, like legit commercials. You ain't even a Heisman person. And get you some real NIL money that's going to help your brand, not just the money, but your brand. I think those are some things that he's able to leverage that other people are not. And when you look at how everything is scheming up, I'm thinking it's positioning them to be a solid team next year. And it kind of reminds me, everybody keep throwing up the Jackson State. I did it that first year, that little fake COVID season, like spring 5-6 games. It wasn't in the fall, it was in the spring. I don't know if we can count that, but he count that as his first season. Then Shador came the next season, Shiloh, the next fall, right? Because they couldn't play in that spring because they just transferred in, and they was able to play. And that was the first time they won the SWAC. I think they lost to like Texas State, and then they lost in the Celebration Bowl. So they lost 2 games. We only lost 1 game. See, the next year they won all their games, and they lost Celebration Bowl right before he left. But what I've said, the reason why he was so dominant in the SWAC is because he got the players that nobody else could get. I mean, he got legit 5 stars, not transfer, like out of high school, which unheard of, like Travis Hunter out of high school, right? So, he's kind of doing that again to an extent to me. Once he gets the talent he needs, it kind of overshadows and covers a lot of the flaws. Like you said, well, was the same coaching there, but they talent was just so much better. He was getting legit transfers to come in, from the Florida States. And like you see what Isaiah Bolden, with what James Houston up there, and he went to Detroit. You seen these guys come in and start, and they just brought a level of dominance. He already had Shador. So when you really look at what he's doing, it's a lot like Jackson State from that perspective. When I say he's doing it again, that's also what he's doing again. Not just the hype train, but that building of a team that actually can compete and pretty much eventually dominate. It's hard for me to say right now, will he be able to dominate? But because they say it's a lot of unproven players. And I don't want to kind of disrespect the Big 12 to the point where I'm like, oh, the Big 12 is, less than Pac-12. Pac-12 was very competitive last year. Don't get it twisted. They had several teams out of the 12 who was in the top 25 throughout the year. So we got to recognize that. I also already don't recognize the refs. I'm not going to get into that. To the point where you play several games and, by a touchdown, he just squeeze out wins and call some calls to help people score and not allow you to score. It just gets really weird, But I definitely don't think, like I said last week, I don't think they were a 4-8 team. They were definitely probably at least a 7-5 team with all their flaws. And that just, some games that were taken from them with their mistakes, they were a 7-5 team. So I don't think this is a 4-8 team going into Big 12. And realistically, it's underestimating, undervaluing what they really were. They were a 4-8 team on paper, but it really was a 7-5 team in reality. And caliber-wise, capable, and that's with the flaws. That's with the line. And on the upside, it could have been 8-4. That's including some tight games that they okay. You don't want to say all the tight games caused. So when you look at them going to Big 12, you can't look at them like, oh, this is a 4-8 team. You got to look at it. They're building really on a 7-5, 8-4. So that's why I said if they lose more than, if they don't win at least 8 games, that really is a fail for them because that's the caliber team they are, especially in the Big 12. There's no excuse for that. I think at the least they should be 10-2, solid. I'll spot them too, and I can't say who they are, but that's just what I see with the talent that they had and the talent they're getting and the experience they've accumulated. They should really thump some people because they're going to have a high power offense. They had it with no line. Don't get it twisted. They had it with no line. So with no line. They said have the most high school recruits. Yeah, I have to really look back at the high school recruits because we've been so focused on the portal. But you got to look at, they say right now they got more 5 stars than they ever had at Colorado up under this new rating system, of course. And then they say, I've heard people say they got an easy schedule, and then I heard for Big 12 they got the hardest schedule for a Big 12 team. I don't think name power is going to be nowhere near as playing against the Oregons and the USC and the Washington. I don't think you're going to have that name component in the Big 12 because the big names, you move them. You move to Texas and you move to Oklahoma. So now you just got rid of Oklahoma State, Kansas type stuff. So to me, they should be the big name. Now Utah gonna come in. I personally believe Utah is overrated. They really showed me they overrated. They had to really do some dirty stuff to beat Colorado. Yeah, they both had their backups in, but I really saw something in Utah. I know they're gonna get their quarterback back. They like on an Oregon State level. They know big dog. They know big dog. And Arizona is they kind of sneaky. They coming in too. So these are the teams that coming in with Colorado from the Pac-12. They can mix it up a little bit. That wasn't there. Arizona's going to have their quarterback coming back. They're going to have the receiver coming back. But them games kind of squeaked by. Arizona kind of squeaked by. Oregon State kind of squeaked by. UCLA did some squeaking too, including putting Charlo out the game. And, that was a big factor because he was pretty much manhandling them. So you got all these different teams that they had that were decent in the Pac-12 defensive wise, and they were all pretty much on the same level. It was like they all beat each other. It was no extremes. I think Big 12 has extremes. I think they got 3 tiers. I think originally thought Pac-12 was going to be 3 tiers, and they kind of put people in tiers until you seen some Cals and some Stanfords come up and hit some people in the mouth. And even if you did make 3 tiers, those couple teams were really, and they tried to slide Colorado. Really, Colorado was more middle tier. It really was only 2 teams who were really quote unquote gimmicks, and they'd sneak up on you, Cal and Stanford. Everybody else was in the middle, and then you had Washington, Oregon at the top. USC kind of fell down to the middle. So you really look at it, they were all pretty much on the same level. I don't see this in the Big 12. I don't see Big 12 being like that. I see Big 12 more so as top heavy, and I don't even know what that looked like because the 2 top heavy teams just left for the SEC. It's going to be different because you just pretty much left all the mid-tier teams. And they kind of trickle down. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and then, TCU, Texas down there, Texas Tech, Baylor's down there. They kind of like on a seesaw. And then, you have Kansas kind of a little above that. So it's like, I don't know who, and I know they don't play all of them. And, Utah and Arizona slide in there. I don't see them really. They really shouldn't go tit to tat like they did last year, because the only reason they went tit for tat last year is because they come block work for crap, and the defense was, very unestablished. So they really shouldn't do a lot of tit for tat, blowout. What do you call them? Shootout type games. Because the difference is they don't have the quarterback caliber in the Big 12 as they did. They don't have 4-5 Heisman candidates in the one conference. They don't have a quarterback play to go tit for tat with Colorado this year. Some people saying UCF. I don't know. I don't know if UCF going to be a problem. I can say Kansas State or Oklahoma State. Again, I think Utah's overrated. I can't speak on UCF. I know UCF just coming out of quote unquote lower conference. So I think those may be legit games, but again, it's not like you had to worry about Washington, Oregon, USC, and then you had Oregon State that was good, and then you had Arizona sneak in, and then you had all these different teams that can just really sneak up and pop you in the mouth. In Washington State, I think it's a little step down, but I think that Colorado should be a lot better. And it's definitely gonna come down to coaching. It always will. And I'm gonna tell y'all again, you better watch them doggone referees, because if it's close and they gonna just take touchdowns back from you and make the game close, that's an iffy thing. They're not calling holdings and pass interferences and things like that. That could be a whole problem. So we got to keep all of that in mind. As the season go, pay attention to all of that. I think these boys coming in January is going to be helpful, because they're not going to be coming in August. July, right after, in the summer when it's just right before fall count. I think that they will be a lot more prepared to, and have more chemistry. They can go through the spring together and play the spring game and work out together and then have a chance to go through the summer together. That's a different team. Not, have a group go through in the beginning of the year, they have to get a whole nother group in the summer. It hurt them last year, especially at the line. Because the line that played in the spring game was not the same line that played for in the fall. Think about it. So it's obsolete. You basically just wasted a spring when all your linemen go before the the fall. I mean before the fall, the summer come. So we got to consider all of these things. These boys are ready to play. They get these boys in there in January, fill in them gaps. And you also look at the fact that they got some guys who did return. So you're not overhauling the whole team. You're not overhauling the team like with 80 new players, but you also looking at the fact that a lot of these guys are coming back. We keep talking about what we don't have, but a lot of them are coming back. And just because they lost, you can't say, oh, nobody was good. We got some safeties I didn't even mention. Milner Jones, we didn't mention that played well. We had a couple young safeties and backers. Armor Walker. We had some guys that started to get some PT towards the end that got a little taste in their mouth. Got a little experience, are going to be ready to come back. So let's pay attention, to what's coming. And make sure y'all subscribe and all that good stuff, because we're going to be here. We're going to run through this off season. We're going to stay up to date on what comes in through this portal, on this next half of the portal. And we're going to keep an eye on them when well off or whatever we have, show them starting to work out and practice. We can kind of see this thing come together again. I believe that this season is going to be even more hype. If we saw hype last year, I think this season is going to be a lot more hype because they actually going to win. And it's something about Coach Prime and winning. That media love it. And I think their teams are going to be a lot more well-rounded, a lot better. Shadour's going to play better. It's his last year. Everybody's going to be looking like, everybody's going to be looking at them this year, because this is like how everybody wanted to see Travis against Oregon last year and against USC. This is it. Yes, sir. This is it, guys. This is the last rodeo where all of these components are together. They're going to have to fill in a new quarterback after this, Travis Hunter. They only get 2 years with them, too. So this is going to be like the curtain call. This is going to be a big year, man. This is like when you go on your last season and every stop you at is like the final curtain call when people about to retire. This is it. This is the last time you're going to see Travis Hunter in the college. Period. This is going to be the last time you see Shador. Period. Shallow. So these guys, it's going to be different. The press is going to be different. The hype is going to be different. It's going to be on a whole nother level. We just seen a warm-up version of what it looked like this year. So y'all make sure y'all here. Everybody, make sure y'all subscribe. We're going to have a good time. I do this for y'all. I take time out. Make sure we get these lives in. I know Christmas is tomorrow. I usually do them on Sunday. Sometimes in the season they play it on Friday. I would do it on Saturday. But just again, to make sure I got this summary, this last live of the week. Because of the holidays is coming up, Christmas Eve tomorrow. Y'all enjoy y'all family and your break and whatever y'all doing on your holidays. Make sure y'all enjoy that. And make sure y'all check out my sponsors here, as you see scrolling. They will also be in the description. The Tanggula box still going strong. Make sure you get the cable cutter. Get y'all Tanggula box for your holidays. Whatever, go through it. Actually get it. It's the real deal. And also, you see my debt converter. When you go into the first year, help people get out of debt, mortgage free within 5 to 10 years. Something strong. Go get your ebook. Go ahead to debtconverter.com. And like I said, make sure y'all hit that bell notification so when we go live, y'all know what's going on. I appreciate y'all for coming through. This is Greg with Greg Said. I'm checking out. Y'all enjoy.